And our first job is to show them where their time is being spent and the value of their time versus what they're doing, so that when they're doing what they're supposed to be, the catalyst for growth.
All right, well, welcome everyone. Back here talking a little bit about coaching, about business, about all this fun stuff. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm a senior partner here at Action Coach in Central Texas. I'm joined with my business partner and my dad, Andy O'Brien, senior partner, master coach, all that fun stuff here in the business as well. And just kind of coming at you with a little bit of, I don't know, knowledge from the trenches, knowledge from the massive number of years that Andy has been coaching and doing different business stuff. And we were talking a little bit before we jumped on the conversation here about I don't know, it's probably a little bit of accountability. It's a little bit of like, I don't know if I'm ready for things.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much crossover in probably many different aspects of the world, but this was kind of a fun topic. Andy, I'll hand it over to you to kind of talk a little bit about some of the things that you've seen through the coaching journey in terms of, how do you know you're ready to jump into coaching, and what are some of the drawbacks when there's folks who are like, I have to do X, Y, and Z before I'm ready to take another step, and then they like never do it. So why don't we jump into kind of that topic and some of the things that you've seen in your journey through going through coaching.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Thank you, Tanner. It's really funny. I was talking to some book publishers and I was looking at publishing counts and I'm looking at best-selling books. And it's really ironic. If I would have named my book WTF Family Business, or What Was I Thinking Family Business, Your Keys to a Diet, would probably skyrocket my business to the very top. And I use that analogy because we see the same thing over and over all the time. And it's like all those folks, and all of us have done it, want to set a New Year's resolution and I'm going to lose weight, but I'm going to go on a diet before I join the gym because I want to look good when I'm at the gym. Well, that's the dumbest thing I have ever heard. But it's also the definition of insanity. In business, you ask the question, when are they ready? Nobody's ever really ready to have a coach. No person in the world is ever ready to be held accountable for their actions. Just ask me. Ask me how I know. Because I'm an adult male and I don't like to be held accountable. But the fact of the matter is, none of us in the world will change without accountability. And so nobody's ever ready. The question isn't, are you ready? Are you ready for something different? Are you tired of being stressed out? Are you tired of being no cash? Are you tired of your team? Are you tired of your leadership style? Are you tired of all of these things in the business? And the list goes on and on and on and on. When
Well,
you start, go ahead.
can I jump in on that? Because you
Yeah.
use the analogy of fitness and like the gym and all of that kind of stuff, which I think is a really easy one for people to kind of wrap their heads around. And that I'm gonna set this goal before I jump in and work with a trainer or a coach or something like that to lose weight. And that well, I'm gonna lose this much weight, or I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna get this strong before I go do this. And it's like that's why you're hiring somebody, right? If you actually look at the objections with that of like, oh, I don't think I'm ready for this, it's like, great, how long have you been trying to solve this problem? Well, I've been trying to lose weight for the last 30 years. It's like, great, you still haven't done it. So what's the catalyst to actually get you to do something different? Are you going to continue to tell yourself that you're going to get into shape before you go meet with somebody? Are you finally going to hire that professional that knows what the heck they're doing, that's going to guide you up beyond that like sticking point that you've been stuck with for the last 30 years?
Oh,
uh,
absolutely. But the other catalyst to that is, okay, well, I need you to solve this in 3 months. You've had this problem for a year or two or three or 30. If it takes you X amount of time to get into a problem, it's going to take you X amount of time to get out of that problem. There's no silver bullets, there's no crystal balls. I mean, if there was, man, we would be loaded. But it is that entire principle of always going back and doing the same thing over and over, think you haven't it figured out. I call it the I know mindset. I see it over and over. My email's full. I'm just going to wait. I want to figure out my goals first. Well, what do you think the coaching's for? We have to start somewhere. And in those people that, oh, I can do it myself and I don't need any guidance and I know this. Well, you show me any athlete in the world in any sport that doesn't have a coach. Go ahead. I'll wait. We're going to wait a long time because there is no professional at any level that doesn't have a mentor or a coach, whether it's chess, debate, logistics, mechanical engineering, attorneys, bankers, the list goes on and on and on. They all have somebody that is helping them do better. That's our job.
Mm.
When people come to us and go, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to get all this stuff figured out. I use that analogy all the time. So what you're telling me is you haven't been able to lose any weight, so you're going to go lose weight and then you're going to come back and join us after you get it all figured out. And then I'm really frank with them. We'll never hear from you again. Well, why would you say that? Because you will go back, you will talk yourself out of it, and then you will be too embarrassed to call us when you can't figure it out yourself. And it's really interesting. For the longest time, I wouldn't say shit like that. Like, oh, be my friend and be really nice. That never worked. So now I'm just telling people the truth as a coach. As a
Mm.
coach, we have this acronym NICE. It says nice, but nothing inside cares enough to lie to you or to sugarcoat the truth. Mr. and
Mm.
Mrs. Business Owner, you're here because of you, not me. I'm sorry that's harsh, but at the end of the day, are we for everybody? No, absolutely not. That's why we have teams of coaches. But at the end of the day, they need a little bit of reality and have them go look in the mirror so they can determine if they're tired of the bleed, of the pain, of the stress, of the frustration, of the sleepless nights, of the I'm so frustrated, I just don't want to get out of bed. That's when they know. If you have any of those stressors, call us. We're not life coaches. We've never been life coaches. We are business or executive coaches that throws a little bit of life in there because it happens to all of us.
Well, you mentioned the doing the same thing over and over and expecting the same results and the definition of insanity and I look at this and I even think of sometimes it's not even that, oh, I've got these massive pains, but it's just I'm stuck. I going back to the fitness thing, I think it's just there's such a good correlation between what happens in like the health and fitness world versus any other level of coaching, especially here in business. And I think through like take me as an example. I was a collegiate athlete. I had a coach, all that kind of stuff. Progressive, overload year over year, got better and better and better. Each year I hit new records, all that kind of stuff. Then I leave school, and now I'm off on my own and I'm doing stuff on my own for a while, and I kind of putt around, figure a few things out, but
Mm-hmm.
my progression has never been the same as it was being in that environment. And the pain is being able to look back 10, 15 years later and go, I've been doing the same darn thing for the last 5 years in my workout, and nothing has changed. My numbers have not gone up. My body fat percentage hasn't changed. My body, like, nothing has changed because I think I know what I'm doing and I know enough that I'm healthy, but I haven't achieved the goals I want because I just don't know what I don't know. And I don't have the accountability to do the things that are a little bit harder when you're sitting there by yourself doing your own thing. Like that extra angle of like, you should tweak this here, do this there, changes the game. And we've
Totally
done
changes the game.
and we've done that in business, right? We did it for a while. We had some coaches, then we hire a new coach, and this coach, kicks our butt and holds us accountable, different things, shows us different little angles that we didn't see before, and it completely changes the game.
And
But it's that,
perspective, it changes your entire perspective of what has to be worked on.
hmm, yeah,
So that's a great point. You look behind me here, that I keep that poster up behind me, not because I'm living in the past, but because it's a time. And for those that don't know, is a lifetime ago. It's 30 years ago, 33 years ago. That's from the World Championships in 1991. And it goes back to I had a mentor and a training partner that
uh,
was
of Ironman triathlon. Let's make sure that
yeah,
we make that
yeah,
note
okay.
for those that are watching this.
Yeah,
It's
so
something very difficult, long and difficult, hard to do, all that kind of stuff, painful.
yeah, yeah, it was mental, but it was before it was cool. right? 1991, it wasn't cool. People thought it was a waste of time. Today, it's cool, right? The same correlation goes to coaches in practice. When I first got into this, nobody wanted to coach because it's taboo. Oh, I'm in trouble. No, that's not the purpose of coaching. The coaching is for those businesses that are plateaued, those businesses that want a moderate change. That's what coaching is about. I didn't have those results again. Yeah, I did a bunch of Ironman, but I didn't have a side by side mentor training partner who was driving me to different results and challenging me every day. Every
Mm,
one of us are in our world, in our sphere of influence. And it's that analogy of, it's the forest and the trees, or the tree and the forest. Well, when you're standing in the forest, you can't see what you can't see. And sometimes the purpose of a coach is not to look for the trees or the forest, it's to look at the flower that's sitting right in front of you that needs some attention. And that's what we do. That's what we do every day. That's the purpose of why people, they come to us and, hey, I didn't educate them well enough. They don't believe in our system. That's on me. But at the end of the day, when they're like, yeah, I'll make a decision, I'll call you later. I tell them now, we won't hear from you again because you think you have it all figured out. And anymore, it's so funny. Like, what do you mean? Well, most people that leave here, they go somewhere, they talk to Bob's sister's cousin's brother, who's never run a business, never had a coach. Oh, you don't need that. Just talk to my buddy over here who's never run a business. And then they talk themselves out of it. We see that all the time because
mm,
employees haven't got a clue what it's like to run a business. They really don't. They only see it from the side of what they're taking. And so when your friends are employees, they're not business owners. They don't understand. That's what we do. We own businesses. We have employees. We have payroll. We have insurance. We have expenses. We have CRMs. We have testing and measuring. We have marketing. The thing about the difference is we don't teach what we haven't learned ourselves. We're not going to tell you, hey, go read that book over there and then implement it. Well, I mean, that's crazy. It's like, yeah.
mm. Yeah, that's really important. Oh man, I just had a thought and I completely lost it because I got thrown off by thinking about reading a book and the application of it, and just like where my mind went is, yeah, there's this big gap between like learning something that you read and kind of look through or watch something, but then actually going and implementing it. There's a whole other world of lessons that are learned by actually going through the implementation process in almost anything that you learn. So having that guidance along the way is like really powerful. Oh, that's what it was. It's come back to me. But I think the statistic that we looked up what a couple weeks ago is like the number of businesses out there that have like the percentage of businesses that have more than one employee versus just like the single owner
Oh,
employee, and
yeah.
it's like 80% of the businesses have only the owner as the employee,
Oh, yeah.
which
It's like
means
30, it's like out of the 33 million small businesses, wasn't it? It was like 82% or 17 million businesses have, of those 17 million, 6 million businesses, it's just the solo owner.
yeah, the point was it was a very staggering number, and it's a really solid reminder of the amount of, I don't want to call it bad advice out there, but advice that just hasn't been tested in actually growing a business that's worth anything. As
Well,
someone that's looking at businesses all the time, especially these smaller businesses, which is the vast majority of businesses out there, like when it comes time for them to exit and sell, they're not worth much because they basically just have a job that they maybe have a few team members with, but the owner still does everything in the business. And it's like, that's not attractive to purchase. There's no value there. But there's, where I'm going with this. And that's why the coaching piece is so important. That's why we have a coach. It's the having somebody who's looked at how do you build a actual business and build that commercial profitable enterprise that works
yeah.
without you, right? So that the entity has value, and that's that pool of people that have done that and can kind of guide and go through that process is so small that just going out and talking to your neighboring business that's just them is not going to give you the context of how to get to that next level.
Yeah, because it's more than just the vanity of revenue. It's so interesting. You made the point there about advice, and we love our strategic partnerships with CPAs and with bankers. And if you get the banker and the CPA that is looking out for you, they will tell you, I've tried to give my clients advice, and just like all of us, we don't like to be told what to do. And they have this thing called compliance where they can only give you safe advice based on the law, that whatever it is. So if you lose money, they aren't held accountable. And that's a great thing. And our strategic alliances is because they're only getting the data points either from numbers or from what you're telling them. As a coach, we are in your business with you on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. So we get a snapshot week over week where a banker or CPA is only going to get your advice based on one data point, right? And that's where the coaching comes in, is because CPAs, they are great with numbers. They are great with numbers. Traditionally, their first indication is to cut. Oh, you got too many people. You've got too much this. They will cut. And that's important, but that's not the only data point. How do we grow? How do we grow profit? You can only cut a business so far before it's detrimental to the whole organization. For all of us as business owners, some of the greatest pieces of advice that I've ever been given, which are the most is usually the most uncomfortable piece of advice, is how are you going to grow if you're in the way? Right? How are you going to grow if you are in the way? That's the key. And for most solopreneurs or one or two employees, the reason we are so successful is because we look at this, and our first job is to show them where their time is being spent and the value of their time versus what they're doing, so that when they're doing what they're supposed to be, the catalyst for growth. And it's not just revenue. I said it earlier, revenue is vanity. It's vanity. It's just a number. Profit, that's where the sanity comes in. That's where they get like, oh, I have more money coming in. Oh, I can buy a new piece of equipment for the business. Oh, I can go on vacation. I can give my employee raises. Oh my gosh, I can afford to buy insurance for myself. Oh my gosh, I can send my employees to some training that we haven't been able to do. We see it all the time. It's not the old story if you watch the media, like all these business owners are taking all the money and pocketing it. No, most of those 17 million business owners are reinvesting it into the business day after day.
Mm.
That's what we do. We help you build a commercial profitable enterprise that works without you every day. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe even not this year, but at the end of the day, that is the goal for you, Mr. Business Owner or Mrs. Business Owner.
Almost said another way, we we actively guide you to make more money in your business so you can buy back your time.
Yeah.
And over and over and over again until the point where you get to reinvest both the time that you've been given back in your life and the additional cash flow that's still coming off the business because it's been growing well, and you get to actually fund the life that you want, not just the business. Because identities, as human beings, we're more than just one thing. We're more than just the business. And being able to buy back our time and be able to do the things that actually light us up and enjoy and spend time with family and all that kind of stuff, that is the entire process. So it's really cool to see for those that are watching, kind of if there's a big takeaway that I'm kind of leaning into with this conversation, is take the first step. Like at the end of the day, like break it all the way down to the basic fundamentals of, I can continue to tell myself that I'm gonna go do something first that I've never actually done or never been able to be consistent with, at least, or I can just take the leap of faith that there are people out there who've been there, have done this before, and can guide us on the next phase of the journey. If that is you and you're ready to take that next step because you take a look back and you're like, okay, dang it, I've been doing the same darn thing for the last 5 years and nothing has changed. Let's look at making that change. You've been looking to solve this problem for a long time. It's time to just take the first next step. You don't have to worry about any of the rest of the stuff yet. Just the first next step. Have the conversation.
Yes.
In the video description below, I'll make sure to put Andy's link to his calendar on there. So don't overuse it, but his link will be in there. Click it. Actually, just book a 20-minute call with him and just have this conversation for your business. It'll be 100% confidential, and you can get some clarity for your business on, is this a good fit? Where does this kind of go from here? How do I take that next step? What is that next step? Just take that one next step here, and your business and your life and everything else will thank you for it. So I'll put that in the video description below. And Andy, I want to say thank you again for sharing a little bit of your knowledge here today.
Oh, thank you. And like I said, reach out. Conversation doesn't cost you anything.